AncestryDNA. This is my favorite of all the DNA tests for genealogy. But are you really going to trade in your lederhosen for a kilt? Probably not. But there's some really great things about this test that are going to further your genealogy research, and I'm going to walk you through my personal test results to show you exactly what it can do for you here on the Ancestry Techie. Okay, so I'm going to open up my browser and I'm going to go to dna.ancestry.com. You already got a sneak preview there because I had it open before. And I'm going to show you what it is you see when you log in after you've done the AncestryDNA test. There's three main sections here to take a look at. I'm going to focus on the first two. DNA circles is seems like more of a beta feature, and ultimately I feel like it's a little confusing for this early on of a video in my series. So I'll probably focus on it later. Instead, let's first walk into the ethnicity estimate. I think this is what people are most familiar with. So you might be familiar with that commercial where the guy says he's trading in his lederhosen for a kilt because it turns out they're not German, they're Scottish. So I'd like to talk about that a little bit in addition to what this page is all about. So what you're seeing here is based on your DNA, they're estimating where it is that you are from. That would be your ancestors most likely. And you'll see that these areas are actually pretty broad for folks like myself. I'm actually Polish, but you can see that this circle's actually pretty huge. It goes from Estonia all the way down to, oh gosh, Romania, Bulgaria. But I know from my own oral family history that we are indeed Polish. The reason some of these get pretty broad is because of migration patterns. A lot of people were migrating between these country lines, and that's what causes it to be more difficult to estimate with precision where it is you're from. Mediterranean is a similar case. As you can see, they're not sure whether I'm Italian or Greek, so you got this little handy slash here. Nonetheless, let's move forward. I'll pop open Great Britain here, and you can see they've kind of narrowed in on where it is they think I might be from. Obviously, it goes as far as Germany, but narrows in on the lower half of the United Kingdom. I'm actually a great deal Scottish, which is up here. You can also see Ireland, Italy, Greece, like we talked about before. Again, this one really spans far as Portugal, and Europe East. So the reason I wanted to talk about just how far these go is I want to let you know that it's not going to tell you that your family was from Paris, right? It's not going to go that specific. But it does give you a little inkling of where your family might be from. That way, if you're stuck or if you have an adoption in the family, at least you have somewhere to start, and I think that's really helpful. So let's back out here to AncestryDNA Home. We're back to that page we talked about before, and now let's look at our DNA matches. I'm going to pop those open, and you can see my DNA results. My parents have done the DNA test, so you've got some cool parent-child relationships here. They're actually that specific, which I think is very cool. And then you have second cousins, third cousins. It gets broader as it goes. Fourth cousins and fifth cousins. The thing I should note here is that it doesn't mean that this is actually your second cousin. William Paul Nolan is an excellent example of this because he is not my second cousin. He is my great half-uncle. I'm going to click on this little question mark here so I can show you how I know that that's still an okay result. So when it says second cousin, they show you some options as to what that actually means for each person that you're related to in that category. It can be a great uncle, it can be first cousins one time removed, and the list goes on. This is something you can check out once you get your DNA results back. This is where I spend most of my time, especially when I was trying to solve adoption mysteries. What I like about this is that I can go into, let's see, who would be a good example of someone who has a snazzy family tree here. Ooh, no, I'm going to do Patricia Schomer. So you can see here that I have her name, I have a possible range of 4th to 6th cousins, and I have all these little logos here. One is a family tree that lets me know that she has 92 people in her own family tree that she's created. I also know that she has some sort of hint, which means that we have a shared ancestor in common that's in both of our trees, which is super cool. And I also know that other people who've taken the DNA test that are linked to my account are related to her. So I'm going to hit View Match. Okay, so right off the bat, and you're not going to see this with everybody, but in this special occasion where Trish and I both have decked out our family trees to a point where we both know who we're related through, we are both sharing John Daniel McKinnon and Nellie Burke as our, well, they're my great-great-grandparents, but for her, I think they're her great-grandparents. Okay. Scrolling down, what you will always see, even if you don't see that, anyone who has a family tree, you're going to see what that family tree is and how that relates to that person. So you can see Trish here, and then if you follow this back out, this is how we're related, is through the McKinnons. So you can see Constance Mary McKinnon, and then branch out to John Daniel McKinnon. You can check these surnames here if you see something familiar, like let's say you're not sure how you're related to this person, but you know that there are Fergusons in your family, for example. Well, shoot, they have a Ferguson in their family tree. Anne Ferguson, is that somebody you know? Or is that related to somebody you know? So these kinds of things can help you out. Ancestry also added this cool little feature with shared surnames, so you know exactly without even having to look. If they're both in your family tree, they'll pop up right here. That's super handy. You can even download your ancestors, which I think is awesome, so you can do offline research as well. Ultimately, it's a really powerful genealogy tool. There's a few different tabs here. Shared matches. This shows you who both you and, in this case, Trish, have in common in your DNA match list. So that can be handy. And you even have a map and locations. If you're looking at someone who has a pretty decked out family tree, you can see where your locations overlap. For us, that would be Prince Edward Island. Let's see, anything else I want to talk about here? I don't think so. I love to send messages to people I'm related to if I've figured out how we're related, or want to get a hint from them in case I think they might know something that I don't. So I'm going to go back to AncestryDNA Home, take a quick look to make sure there's nothing I'm forgetting. You can ignore this stuff down here. This is actually a plugin that I had that I'll talk about in a different video. Viewing another test, if you have family members that want to take this AncestryDNA test as well, you can have them take it and then link your accounts so that you can jump and look at their DNA tests as well. For example, I might want to look at my mom's and look at her matches, see if she has anything new. You can see that Ireland cranked way up when we looked at my mom. And if you think these have been helpful, then great, because I definitely think so. And the more people who take this DNA test, the more people that I can find out I'm related to, which makes me really excited. So I hope this has been helpful for you. This is part of a series that I'll be doing more of. The next section I'll be doing is on 23andMe, so I hope you'll check that video out as well when it comes out. I hope you found this walkthrough helpful in understanding what AncestryDNA can do for you, and if you already took the test, maybe you got some helpful pointers that are going to further your genealogy research. For more tips and tricks, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and check out the AncestryTechie.com.